Well, I think inflation is one of the most misunderstood definitions by the people. Inflation created so much confusion among economists. It would be too much headache for me to argue with many economists about inflation. Well, I could argue with them if I would get paid for that. Otherwise, it would not happen. Here is our definition of inflation, and it is not only our definition, but so many economists will agree with us. Inflation is an expansion in the supply of circulated currency and credit within an economy, and therefore the opposite of deflation. In times of inflation, the purchasing power of currencies declines. This is distinct from price inflation, which is a general increase in prices. These two terms, inflation and price inflation, are often mistaken for each other and used interchangeably. It means that price inflation is a side effect of inflation. It means that rising prices are the result of inflation and not inflation itself. Central bankers, commercial banks, mainstream media, and your professor in your college will not tell you that. They will tell you that contemporary definition of inflation is different. In college, most of the professors will define inflation as a continuing rise in the general price level. It is another reason which proves that enormously high college tuitions are not worth the headache. Additionally, instead of learning something, students very easily can get misinformed. But let's not change the topic to college tuition or student loans. Let's get back to inflation. Well, rising prices are the symptoms of inflation. Imagine you go to the doctor and you ask the doctor, "So hey, Mr. Doctor, what disease do I have?" Instead of telling you the disease, the doctor gives you the symptoms, like a headache, pain, or something else. You listen to the doctor and you say to him, "Okay, Mr. Doctor, but what is my disease? Because you only told me the symptoms." And the doctor still does not answer you, but keeps talking only about the symptoms. It's necessary for the public to understand the correct definition of inflation, because if you will hear politicians on TV saying, "Oh, we politicians need to fight inflation in order to improve people's standard of living," then you will say to yourself, "Hey, you politicians, it's you and central bankers who are responsible for inflation. If you are responsible for all of it, then how come you say that you fight inflation?" "Oh yeah, I know why these politicians say it. It is just another baloney to buy votes." Currencies like US dollar, British pound, euro, Swiss franc only facilitate the transfer of goods and services. It's not the US dollar that is valuable. It is just a piece of paper. What is valuable are goods and services that can improve our standard of living. If inflation and prices go up enormously, then what can you buy for your paper currency? In that kind of scenario, you can only buy fewer goods and services than you could in the past. Did you ever see in the movies pirates hoarding US dollars? No, they do not hoard US dollars. Pirates hoard gold because gold protects you from inflation and gold allows you to maintain your purchasing power. There can be more side effects of inflation than only rising prices of food, clothes, shoes, or other necessities. Inflation can cause, for example, the stock market to go up. Low interest rates for such a long time and quantitative easing programs benefited investors in the stock market. Look at our other podcast in which I show central bankers' balance sheets. It means that inflation also redistributes wealth. You hear it all the time that the rich are getting richer. Well, loser Hillary Clinton, it's people like you who enable it. And Hillary said, "Oh, we need to help the poor." Well, Hillary, it's you and your associates who created poverty. And why did you say that you want to help the people? Oh, I forgot. It is just another political baloney to buy votes. But you lost the election anyway. You are the history. Additionally, inflation discourages saving. Savers are punished because of rising inflation. In the future, their US dollars will buy them fewer goods and services than in the past. That is the reason why we do not call US dollar as money. We do not call US dollar as money because it does not offer the hard-working people a possibility to maintain their purchasing power. In order to call something money, it first needs to offer the store of value, the warehouse of value. Another ridiculous example is with investing. Let's say the inflation rate is 5%. And you have an annual gain of 4% in the stock market. Your gain is lower than the inflation created by the government, central bankers, and still you are responsible for capital gains taxes. Well, I need to mention the velocity of money when I talk about inflation. The velocity of money is the rate at which money is exchanged from one transaction to another, and it simply refers to the number of times each unit of currency changes hands. Rising velocity of money has similar effects to the expansion of currency supply. Falling velocity of money has opposite effects and it offsets the expansion of currency supply. The velocity of currency is slowing down, as we can see on the chart. Many people ask themselves, how come we do not have much higher prices and higher consumer price index in spite of all this massive money printing? Well, we have a rising stock market, and it is a sign that this particular asset class was inflated. Rising prices and the velocity of money work together. It means that rising velocity of money can easily trigger much higher prices for goods and services. We say that the government confuses the public when it comes to the definition of inflation. Inflation is just another form of taxation without legislation. It creates revenue for the debt-addicted government, and it acts as a hidden tax. Governments, through inflation, can confiscate secretly an important part of the wealth of their citizens. The US government is a monster debtor, and the US government benefits from inflation because they pay off their loans with dollars that are less valuable than the ones they borrowed. It means that it is much easier for the government to service the interest on the national debt. And of course, it is all done at the expense of the hard-working people, like always. This is XX Report, and talk to you later.